3 o'clock, so I suppose we can go ahead and get started. If we get anyone else to come in here, we'll just go. All right, anyway, so everybody, welcome to Pokemon Go Training the Trainers. My name is Spike. I will be your instructor for today. So basically what it is, we're going to go through some of the basic stuff, some of you may already notice, but I'll also give some tips on how you can improve your game and try to level up even more quickly. And I'll also have a Q&A session afterwards to answer any more questions you might have. Now, like I said earlier, I wish I had a projector, but we're just going to have to do this. But I will write it up on the whiteboard as well. So, like I said, we're going to go through basics. We'll talk about the three teams. If you are level 5 or higher, you should already have one assigned to you. We'll talk about catching Pokemon, Pokestops, and the shop, the gyms, and then the Q&A session afterwards. Now, who has the game on right now? Everybody? Okay, excellent. So you should already know what the layout will look like. Of course, yourself, pretty much your avatar, whenever it wants to agree with your position, sometimes it'll glitch out. Trainer level and XP. As far as I know, the highest level you can go is level 40, with an increasing amount of experience points you need to get each time. By the way, which I am currently level 27. We'll get to level 28 shortly. And of course, I will talk about just a little bit about every time you reach a certain milestone, you'll get a new item unlocked. And of course, now since about a couple months ago, the nearby Pokemon has been changed. Back then, you used to have the 3 steps. You have 1 step for Pokemon that are really close to you, 2 steps for medium distance, 3 steps for the long distance, but the steps had pretty much glitched out. It would be a 3-step glitch, everyone called it. So for now, Niantic did away with it and just going with sightings. So that's all you're going to get. And of course, you'll see wild Pokemon out there. They'll show up whenever you're right next to it. In this case, we got a Squirtle, which I should mention this right now. I'll make this my first tip to you. If you're looking for certain types of Pokemon, like water types, you want to go to bodies of water. I was in Virginia Beach last week. There was a ton of water Pokemon. I had caught my very first seal, and there is, of course, a lot of Magikarp, which you're going to need 400 candies to evolve. So if you want to evolve Magikarp into Gyarados, you're going to have to go to near an ocean or a lake or wherever you can find it.
Or do lots of walking.
That too.
Put Magikarp as your buddy and do lots of walking.
And I forgot how long of a distance you need for him if you have him as your buddy.
I don't know,
Right now,
because
there's
I
not
haven't
any
had
more.
Magikarp as my buddy. I have Arcanine.
All right, so originally it's 1 kilometer, but there's an event going on right now, which right now if you catch a Pokemon or transfer it, you'll get double the candy. So this will go until Halloween.
Same thing for walking.
Walking
Double
too,
candles,
yes,
double.
thank you. Let's see. Oh, we've already mentioned the nearby Pokemon. And that big blue beacon there, that's of course your Pokestop, which you will get items from. You will find these pretty much, they're based on Google Maps that they use. People have sent in photographs and they mark them in Google. And pretty much for sightseeing in your local community. You'll see a lot more than if you go into larger cities. But if you're out in the country, you're probably not going to see that much. We'll talk about a little more about that later. And the bigger beacon right behind it is going to be your gym, which is pretty much one of the core parts of the game, which the teams actually interact with each other or battle each other, which of course I will get to a little later. And of course the Pokemon on the bottom is going to be your menu screen, which I'm going to talk about next. You got your Pokédex, which there has been some changes that have been implemented in the past month. Like, if you go to a gym and you see a Pokemon that you have not caught or seen before, it will show up as its silhouette. So you will be able to see it, you just won't have the information on that particular Pokemon. You just know that you've seen it. Of course, right now, we have 143 that they've put out right now, instead of the 151. They haven't released the legendary Pokemon yet, but I expect that they will soon, which I would think would be an event, but we'll keep an eye on that. Some other ones that have not been released have been Ditto, which really the only thing it can do is transform, so I don't know how that would work out in the game. The shop. The shop is going to be where you will spend your Poke Coins to get items if you rather do that and get a quick boost instead of using your Pokestops. Now, the downside to that is because it's using microtransactions, it'll cost you actual money. The
upside is if you're at a convention and there's no Pokestops at the hotel, you can still refill.
You can. Now, of course, there is two ways of getting Poke Coins. One, of course, is using your money, and the other is using the defense bonus on how many gyms you're holding. Which it is, for every gym you hold, it is 10 Poke Coins, 500 Stardust. So if you prefer using that method, it will take a little longer, but it will get you some coins to use in that shop. The shop will contain regular Pokeballs. It will, as of right now, there's no potions that you can get from it, so if you want potions, you've got to go to a Pokestop. We also have incense, which will only work for yourself. If you use it for the next 30 minutes, Pokemon will automatically show up. Now someone researched this and found out that if you stand at the same spot, they will only show up every 5 minutes. But if you walk a particular distance over that time, more Pokemon will show up. So it's best to use the incense if you're out walking. So that will be the perfect time along with your eggs. So that would be a great time to use it. A similar item, the lure module. Lure modules work the same way, except anyone in that area will be able to use it. And they will be able to see the same Pokemon and try to catch it, but maybe not the same CP. The only downside is it has to be used at a Pokestop, so you're limited to where you have to go. But you can interact. There was one other one I didn't cover. Which one was it? It was the Lucky Egg, of course. If you're trying to get a boost of experience points really fast, these will help double experience points. One, you can buy them in the shop, and two, you can get it from leveling up at a particular milestone. My personal item, which I use quite a lot, the egg incubator. You do have one which you can use infinitely, but of course you have to use one at a time. If you get extra incubators, you'll be able to incubate more eggs, but you can only use them 3 times. But what I like about this, the method I do, let's say we have a 2-kilometer egg, a 5-kilometer egg, and a 10-kilometer egg. And let's say I have the infinite incubator and the 3-time finite incubator. What I would prefer you would do, use the 3-time incubator on the 10-kilometer egg, and you still have your infinite incubator, which I would have you use on the 2-kilometer egg. Reason for that being, remember, the finite incubator can only be used 3 times. If you use it on a higher distance egg, you will be able to use it more often. Basically, if you're using 2 of these, you're basically covering double the distance. You'll be able to hatch this egg, but it's finite. You can use it again. And you don't have to worry about losing 1 turn on this incubator. So if you got multiple incubators, use your 3-time incubator on the higher eggs and your infinite incubator on your lower eggs. I would prefer that you start with the 2-kilometer ones, and if you run out of those, go ahead and go to the 5-kilometer. Now, if there was one thing I would tell a starter, is that the first thing I would buy in the shop would be the bag upgrade. When you start the game, you only get 200 items. That's not very much. And when you visit various Pokestops, that's going to fill up very quickly. With the upgrade, you can add another 50. It will cost you 200 Pokecoins, but it'll be worth it in the long run. Especially when you have other items you have not unlocked yet that will still have to come into the game. Right now I am at 450 on my inventory. So if you have enough coins, upgrade it. Is there anything else I need to do? There is the Pokemon storage upgrade, though I would hold off on that unless you have a ton of Pokemon that you're catching, because most of the time you will be transferring them for candy. And let's face it, some of them you're not really going to use in battle or use for gyms, especially if it's only 10 CP. Let's see. Continuing on with the menu, we got Pokemon. It's just Pokemon that you have. You catch one, it goes in there. Now what you can do, it will tell you what Pokemon you have and your eggs. And under this you can power up, you can evolve, or you can transfer them for candies. Now when you are dealing with candies, for battle-worthy Pokemon, I would have you evolve first. Because evolving will cost you a tremendous amount of candy, but you'll not use any Stardust. The Stardust is reserved for powering up your Pokemon, which will also use candy. The other reason for this, evolving will earn you 500 experience points. That's quite a good chunk. Powering up doesn't give you diddly squat. And one thing that you got to use often is sorting option. If you are looking for a particular Pokemon, you can sort them by name, the number in the Pokédex, or their power. You can mark favorites, which I would prefer you do if you're going to use them for gyms quite a lot. Items, pretty self-explanatory. Inventory of all your items you've got, which will include your Pokeballs, your Revives, your Potions, and your Raspberries, which I will talk about in just a little bit. Now, the eggs. I've already mentioned there's a 2 kilometer, a 5 kilometer, and a 10 kilometer. 2-kilometer ones will give you just common Pokemon. Pidgeys, Caterpies, pretty much all the ones that you find a lot. 5-kilometer ones, uncommon. They show less often, but you still see quite a lot. The 10-kilometer ones are the ones you're going to have to look out for. Though they will not show up as often, they will give you rare Pokemon. So watch for those 10-kilometer ones. Use the 3-time incubator on them. Also, if you're thinking about driving, trying to hatch these eggs, it ain't gonna work. Because the program makes it so that you can only go a certain speed before they stop counting. Right now, the distance, or the speed rather, that they'll cut off is 10 miles an hour. Though, if the game glitches, you can push it up to 20 miles an hour. Also, do not attempt to try to do this while driving. It ain't going to work. If you do intend in riding a car, do it as a passenger. And trying to hatch eggs would be quite difficult, trying to hold it 10 miles an hour. You would have to do it in either a parking lot or a neighborhood. So again, don't play it unless you're a passenger.
It's also a waste of gas to do it that way.
Yeah. I mean, gas prices have gotten better compared to back a couple of years ago. But yeah.
Bicycles more efficient.
Yes. Yeah, that. Thank you for bringing that up. Bicycles will be your best bet on trying to hatch these eggs. You can go faster, but you won't break that 10 mile an hour mark. So think about investing in a bicycle. All right, let's talk about the teams. I am from Team Mystic. What teams do we have here?
Mystic.
Yeah, Mystic.
Yellow.
Instinct. So we got a loner here. Don't worry. So, Instinct. Yellow team. These guys feel that you should go with your gut. Go with your instinct.
Never let me down.
Don't want your stomach letting you down?
Oh my God, never let me down.
But instinct, from my experience, doesn't appear as often. I'm not sure if it's because they don't like the color yellow, or I don't know. That's just from my experience.
We're lovers, not fighters.
Team Mystic. The reason why I chose this particular team is because they feel that you should go with a wise approach. You have to go with your knowledge, which is why I am here teaching you guys how to improve. And finally, Valor. How should I describe Valor?
Red.
Yeah, Super Saiyan Vegeta.
Bunch of angry people.
That's pretty much how it sums it up. That's what Valor is. Super Saiyan. Okay, now let's get to what everyone knows here, catching Pokemon. For example, here we have a Weepinbell. Doesn't appear as often, but it is pretty strong. Now, normally it will show you the CP, which will give you an indicator of how difficult it will be to catch. But in this case, it's question marks, which could mean it's a really strong one. I had this happen to me with a Snorlax, and when I caught it, it was over 2,000 CP. And believe it or not, I caught it with one try, believe it or not. Bottom of your screen, you get your Pokeball. In this case, we have 252 Pokeballs. That's quite a lot for the inventory. Now, there's some things you can do. You can take a photo of it. Share it with your friends. I've seen some people put some humorous pictures. I've had one with Magikarp, and I was at a restaurant, and I turned the camera over to place on somebody's plate, and I just want to say, hey waiter, this fish isn't cooked. You're serving me sushi here. Anyway, and the other one, you can go to your items. We can change Pokeballs. You can go up to a Great Ball. You can go up to Ultra Ball if you're up to that level. Right now, Master Ball is not in the game right now. We'll see if they implement it. Or you can put in Raspberries, which if you're going up against a high-level Pokemon, I recommend using a combination. Now, there is a method I want you to try to master. The curveball. Sometimes you've seen it, and it's like, wait, what did I do? I just threw straight. I mean, throwing it straight is the basic way to do it. But I want you to try to master this, because it will gain you extra experience. Has anyone ever tried it? 1, 2, and you're nodding your head. It's horrible. All right, well, let me try to.
Sometimes I do it and don't even get the bonus.
Then maybe on how the game is programmed to interpret it, because from what I understand, it has to go up and back around across. So here's what I would. Here's how it would do it if you are. So here's our Pokeball. So what we're going to do is spin it. Now, if you're right-handed, I suggest spinning it clockwise. If you're left-handed, it's counterclockwise. And we are going to go against what we usually do. Instead of throwing straight, throw away from the Pokemon. Now, this is counterintuitive, but the curveball will make it go up and back around. If you direct it away, it will come right back to that Pokemon. It'll take you several tries to master this, but successfully do it, it's an extra 10 experience points. Doesn't sound like much, but it will add up over time. So you give it several tries. The next time you go, try to catch a Pokemon. So don't try to go straight. Go away from the
So
Pokemon.
go in the direction that you spin.
Correct.
I keep trying to master the excellent.
Yeah.
I'm about to get to that right now. So yes, master the curveball, adding 10 experience points. Now what you're talking about is a little bonus. The target circle. Now, what it is, let me erase this for a second. Now, you will notice, when there's a Pokemon there are 2 circles. You got one, the basic layout, and then you have one of a different color, which let's try, say, red, which means it's a difficult one to catch. That circle will tell you how difficult it is. Green is easy, yellow medium, and red hard. Now, to get that bonus, it's not necessarily on how accurate you throw it, but rather the size of that circle. If we have a large circle, about this, it's easy. Another 10 experience points. Very easy. If we go down to a medium size, say about this or smaller, it's a great, which will be 50 experience points. So if you can, try to aim for that. Because the next step is going to take a little while. About there. That is your excellent throw. It is really tiny, but if you hit it, it's 100 experience points. Pretty much doubles what you get catching a Pokemon.
Except the system is rigged. Every time you hit excellent,
It pops out.
it breaks
And
free.
sometimes that will happen. That bonus is not there necessarily to increase your chances of catching that Pokemon. Sometimes it will break out. You just got to keep trying.
I read it in WikiLeaks.
What you basically have to do is you have to throw it and hit it inside the target circle.
And it's still breaks away.
No, I mean, to get the thing.
Oh, yeah.
To get the bonus.
All
It's like
right.
a dartboard, it just, you know.
Yeah, with the shrinking bullseye.
Right. All right. I've already mentioned the raspberries. The hard Pokemon, use them. Use them in combination with your Great Balls, Ultra Balls. Yeah. Now, one thing I have to note, CP does not equal its strength. It is a gauge of its overall stats. Because, as they mentioned, every Pokemon in the game is different. They will have different attack stats, defense stats, HP. So be sure to use your appraisal option if you want to get in more detail what you're dealing with once you catch a Pokemon. Let's see, what example do I have? One example here, there's a Haunter out here, by the way. Let's see. I have a Victory Bell, which is at 1,763 CP. Now, it sounds good, but the thing is, it's pretty weak on defense. I've seen a lot of Pokemon drain its HP, which right now its HP is at 114, which is a little lower than usual. You're going to see a lot of, when you're dealing with gyms, Vaporeons, Executors, which will go up into 200 range. So just watch out for that. Make sure you use your appraisal. And lastly, leave no Pokemon behind. And that includes Pidgeys. I know it's annoying catching those Pidgeys, but they will earn you experience and candy. They will only cost you 12 candy to evolve. That's another easy 500 experience points. So leave nothing behind.
Could go to the lucky egg trick using the Pidgeys.
Yes, the lucky egg, yes. If you have a huge amount of candy with the Pidgeys, use that in combination with the lucky egg. That'll raise it up to 1,000 experience points. Now let's go to the Pokestops. The Pokestops, like I mentioned, will give you items. It will give you your Pokeballs, it will give you your potions, it will give you your revives, which you will have to use because the potions and revives don't show up in the shop. Now, like I said, use the lure modules, but especially if you have a Pokestop out in the country and there's no Pokemon around, that will help. Now, I want you to think about this for dinner tonight. If you have the Yelp app, there's a filter in there that allows you to find a restaurant where there's a Pokestop nearby.
Oh, really?
Yes, they actually have one.
Huh.
Yeah. If you go to the Yelp app and go under the filter, there will be an option for Pokestop nearby. If you check that, it'll list all the restaurants where it has a Pokestop, so you can stock up on items while you're having that burger. In fact, there is a restaurant right
Across the
here.
street, two
Yes.
stops, and they both seem to be the same stop. That fountain.
Yes. So if you're going out, there's a couple of places where there is a Pokestop. Check that out. It will really, really help. I would rather that you use the Pokestops to get your Pokeballs instead of the shop. I don't want you wasting those coins for something more important like the Lucky Egg or the Lure Module or the Egg Incubator. So go to a spot where there's a lot of Pokestops. Usually a downtown area is a good place to go. Oh, there's also another trick. There was some students at a university in Minnesota that tried this trick out, which is to visit 10 different stops within 10 minutes. And they found out that if you do that, it'll double the amount of items that you receive. Usually you get 3 or 4. When you get to that 10th stop, it'll go up to 8. Yeah, but the thing they have to note, you cannot use the same stop again during that trick. You have to go to 10 completely different stops to use that trick.
Which means finding that place first.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right, I've already mentioned expand that storage. I've already mentioned the gem defense bonus, which we're going to get to the gems right now. Now, those gems, you'll see that they have a color, 1 of 3, red, blue, or yellow, which will represent the team that's controlling that gem. Now, 3 Pokemon can be placed in that gym before you have to do some training. That's because that they go by prestige. Each time a Pokemon is placed in there, the prestige goes up by 2,000. You can place up to 10 Pokemon in a gym with a maximum prestige of 52,000. So, yeah, I know it says 50,000 prestige, but I later found out it can go up to 52,000 if you put in some extra training. When you train, you put your Pokemon up against all the Pokemon in the gym. Now before, you could only use 1. The latest update, you can use all 6 Pokemon. Make it much easier. And of course, the prestige will go up based on how many Pokemon you defeat. And vice versa, when you're going up against an enemy gym, making it go down. And of course, the shown Pokemon here is the strongest one guarding the gym. In this case, is a Pinsir, which you won't see much of. It'll either be Vaporeon, Snorlax, Executor. Those are the strongest Pokemon in the game. So watch out for those. So you want to stock up on grass, fire. Grass and fire I would use against these particular Pokemon. And in recent memory, there's been more Dragonites coming up too. So when we go in, we have this Starmie. This is the first Pokemon in a level 3 gym. Now, even though it's level 3, note that there's a dot and a crown. That means that there's 2 Pokemon there. That means there's room for 1 more Pokemon to go in there, as long as they're from Team Valor. Now, if that's not your color, you're going to battle them. And you just have to beat both of them. Now, cases, it will just, when you complete a battle, it'll usually remove just 1 Pokemon. Sometimes 2, that depends on where the prestige is. Now, this Starmie here is a 409, which is not very good by today's standards. They usually go up to anywhere from 1,700 up to, I've seen it go up to 3,000 CP. But most of the time you'll be in the 2,000 range. Now your layout here. So we're going to battle this Starmie, and we have a Tauros. Now you'll notice, pretty much a Street Fighter style. You got your HP for each of them, a timer. I've never seen a timer in a Pokemon game before. Alright, so all you have to do, just tap, 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 tap. That's your quick attack. Your first attack, which is the weaker one, but it'll do the stuff. To do a big attack, now I didn't know this in my first few weeks, but if you hold, it'll release its secondary attack, which is much stronger, though it will take more time to implement. Now, it will vary from Pokemon to Pokemon. Sometimes you'll get Pokemon that have 5 blue bars. You'll see Pokemon that have 1 big bar. That's because the small blocks are the quicker secondary attacks, but they're weaker. The big ones will do a lot of damage, but they'll take some time for them to implement, like solar beam, hyper beam, hydro pump. All right. Now this is going on for a while. Has anyone ever noticed up here a number? Has anyone ever noticed that? If you ever battled. I've never battled, so. That number there means that there's someone else in the battle with you that is helping you out. Sometimes you'll see them in the background, but they are battling the same Pokemon. They're helping you out. So you can take down that gym even quicker. But it doesn't necessarily mean that they're on the same team as you. Like, I'm a Mystic. If we have a Valor gym, that partner may not be from Mystic. He may be from Instinct.
Yeah.
So he may help you out in taking down the gym, but he'll probably take that gym away from you.
Not necessarily.
Yeah, we'll get to that. So if you see that, know that there's someone helping you. Now, one that I know people have had trouble with is dodging. Dodging requires some timing. If you see, did everybody see this? Mm-hmm. Good. So if it comes up like that, that's your cue to swipe to the side. You don't swipe at the same time, but immediately after that comes up.
What is it that's come up?
You see around the
lines on the edges.
along the border of the screen. Yeah, maybe if I turn it this way, you can see.
Oh, the little shard things?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So if you see that, immediately after you swipe to the sides. You don't do it at the same time as that because that's too early and you will get hit. Now, another big thing, know your elements. I have a chart of all the elements in the game. You have your basic fire, grass, normal, and you have the more advanced poison, dragon, fairy. Now, I know you probably will not be able to memorize every single one of them, but start with the basic elements, know what are the strengths and weaknesses. So, you know, water puts out fire, water conducts electricity, simple stuff, but you will learn over time about the advanced elements. One unique one, dragons are actually weak against dragons. So if you see a Dragonite, you may want to use a Dragonite of your own. But there's also Pokemon that can use elemental attacks that are outside their elements. The Snorlax I have that I mentioned earlier, its main attack is Lick, which, despite him being a normal Pokemon, is a ghost attack. So, and I had found out that it actually works well against an Executor, which is a grass and poison type, which they're weak against ghost attacks. So be sure you know your elements. Now, I mentioned the gym defense bonus earlier. If you intend to use them to collect Pokecoins, my advice to you is to avoid highly populated areas, because if you go, let's see, like if I was in Disney some time ago, those gyms would not stand up for 30 seconds. People kept battling it and battling them, and people keep putting Pokemon in there. So if you're going to get Pokecoins, those are not the places to go. You go to a more remote area where there's not much traffic. If you're facing a high-level gym, which I would consider at least level 6 or higher, you'll need to stack up on potions and revives. You do have, if you get up to level 25, you can get max potion. If you get to level 30, you get max revives. So even more reason to level up. Now, if you don't have that, get a teammate. If you know someone that's on the same team as you, get them to help you out. As I mentioned, know your elements. And Pokemon can use their elements outside their attributes. Practice timing that dodge, especially when the opponent's about to launch a big attack. Now, if they use their primary attack quite a lot, that's a sign that they have one big attack. Like if it's Executor, his will be Solar Beam. So watch out for that. Just practice that dodge. As far as controlling gyms, I categorize it into two different things. Short-term control and long-term control. If you think that that gym is not going to last very long, I would suggest putting a weaker Pokemon in there. I mean, I don't care if it's a Pidgey or if it's a very weak Gengar. You can put a weak Pokemon in there and just expect someone to take it down. When you're battling gyms, you will still get experience points. I mean, you don't have to get it for Pokecoins. You can just get it for experience. Especially if it's a high-level gym. You can get thousands of experience points. Long-term control. You can use a high-level Pokemon there. And I have seen a lot of gyms where it's gone to level 10 and nobody's even considered battling it. So if you believe that it's going to be a long-term one, use a high-level Pokemon. I personally use a Snorlax because it is a very good defensive Pokemon. My second choice would be Executor. All right, now, if you're battling for a gym and you find out that there's an opposing teammate, an opposing team that is also battling for that gym, what I would suggest for you to do, let them take it over. Why? Because if you take over that gym, it's just asking for your potions to be drained from you. You won't be getting any experience points, you'll just be wasting items. So let the opponent take it over and just battle it. Alright, that's pretty much what I have. Now, let's see, how much time do I got left? We got 20 minutes, so I'll take the rest of the time to answer any questions that I might not have answered. Anything? Any basics? I think I do have one thing. I'm going to tell you this story. I was in a downtown area, and there are 3 Pokestops there, and all I'm doing is just getting items. That's all I'm doing. So I'm just minding my own business, and some guy across the street says, "Why don't you do something better? Like, would you work in the soup kitchen or something? Instead of playing some stupid game." So you know what I did? I walked across the street, went into my car, turned it on, and drove away. I did nothing. If anybody tries to harass you, don't pay them any attention. There are people out there that harass people just for doing this. Just pay them no attention. If it gets to the point where it's you're worried about your own being, either just get away from the area, just call for help. Don't worry about it. I don't believe any of this will happen. This is like sporadic, but I'm sure it does happen. So if it does happen to you, just walk away. Also, avoid any shady areas. If you know that there's a bad neighborhood there, no game is worth risking your life over.
I've heard that if you intend to go to not so I heard you need to play in groups for safety.
Yeah, if you feel that if you feel that you need to do that, then by all means. Heck, it could be even more fun to play with a partner.
Yeah.
So if you feel you need to do it in a group, by all means.
But pay attention to the warning the game gives you at the start. Pay attention to your surroundings.
I cannot tell you how many stories I've seen of people who are so stupid. There is one person who had climbed to a fence just to catch a Pokemon. And he fell 75 feet down a cliff.
I heard about that.
Now, he just got walked away with injuries, but those signs are posted for a reason. If there is a Pokestop or a Pokemon that is in a restricted area, just don't. Just don't. Like I said, it's not risking yourself over.
I would like to add a tip of my own.
Uh-huh.
Play with AR mode off. It will not only save battery power, but you won't actually have to go into somebody's yard to catch the Pokemon. You'll just have to be within radar range of it.
As far as the battery, yes, it will save you battery. As far as the Pokemon will only appear if you're right at it. I mean, after you tap it and you go into the catching mode, you can walk away and it'll still be there. But it's just the fact of going onto somebody's property and just to find that Pokemon.
Right.
But as far as the battery saving, yes, yeah, because it has drained batteries very quickly.
Get a portable battery pack if you can.
Yes, power banks. Yeah, if you're going to be out for quite a while and you don't have an outlet in the immediate area, get a power bank. See, is there anything? Is there any more questions? Do you have any more?
Do you have any experience with suggesting Pokestops?
Suggesting Pokestops.
Like getting, how to get them to add Pokestops and/or turning a place into a gym?
Well, it's more of the because here's the thing. Pokestops and Pokegyms, as I said in the beginning, has been based off of what Google has brought up. The problem with it was that some businesses didn't want it there. They asked for Niantic to remove it from the game because it caused trouble in their area. It's really up to the people running the place. If it's out in a public area, you might. But if it's a personal a business or it's really up to them. It's not something for us. I mean you can ask the owner of the place to do it.
But how do they do it?
As far as I know, they would have to ask Niantic themselves.
I think there was you could go onto the official website. They had a form where you could request a stop or a gym to be added to a certain place. But I think they had to get a little more strict on that about that because some people have actually been adding their houses as Pokestops and gyms.
Yeah, I don't know why people would want to do that because that would be a huge security issue for themselves personally.
Yeah.
So no, I don't understand why people would want to do that.
I'm just curious because we have a park right across the street with a big flagpole and a memorial would be a perfect place for a stop. And there's 3 stops down on the main road 3 blocks away, all of which are defunct.
Uh-oh.
The thing that was the stop is not there anymore.
Yeah, for something like that, you can if it's a public place because I don't think your local municipality will mind that as long as it's within their laws. So you're free to do that. Just make sure that they're okay with it.
yeah, all you have to do is go online onto the official website and look for the form to fill out to suggest a stop or a gym.
Oh, one other thing I do need to mention. All these stories I hear of people coming up with these cheats on how to cover distance. I've seen stories of people taping their phones to their ceiling fan. These people don't understand how GPS works. The game makes it so that every once in a while it'll check up on you, it'll read your position, and if you're within the speed limit that the game sets, it'll add that distance. If you put it on a ceiling fan, you would only get like 2 feet. Very minuscule. For one thing, it's not worth it to do that. Plus, you'd be risking damaging that thing, because those things are they make them balanced. If you throw it off, you risk breaking something. I've seen a video of someone, for some reason, they put, for even longer distance, they put the phone in a bag, attached it to the ceiling fan blade, turned it on, and it was swinging around the room. It comes off and breaks their television. Oh! That's how desperate some of these people are for this game. There's also the bicycle that someone tried. It's a safer method, but again, it's very minuscule. These people, like I said, they don't understand the concept of what a GPS does. They think that it reads in real time. It doesn't. And, oh yes, and I have to bring this up. GPS spoofing. There are people that have used programs that have had their character go to a different location, and they would remotely move that character around just so they could find Pokemon and catch them. It is not only cheating in the game, it is against the terms of service, and it will get your account banned. So don't even think about doing it, because I don't understand why people try doing this. Even the third-party apps, their third-party apps would show which particular Pokemon, which particular location. I understand people trying to fill up their Pokedex, but it just removes the purpose of the game. That's cheating. That's something that I don't like doing. I have collected about 115 Pokemon, and I have not used a single third-party app. I used it just on walking my location and hatching my eggs. That's all I was doing. So, you're okay. Come on in. How much time we got? 5 minutes. So do we have any more before we wrap up?
You ever sitting around in a room for, let's say, close to an hour, and all of a sudden it says, "Slow down, you're going too fast"?
Yeah, that's the game glitching. Now, that happens whenever the walls of the room are too thick. Because the satellites are trying to read where you are. But if the building is interfering, the game's going to get confused and think that you're jumping all over the place. So sometimes it will happen. It just depends on where you. I don't know if it's happened in this building. I was coming in from my airport this morning, and I was jumping around to places where I was not even close to. So yeah, sometimes that will happen. Is there anything else before we wrap up? Okay, I think that is all, because I have another panel coming in behind me. But thank you guys for coming out. Hopefully this will help you improve your game. All right, so let's go out there and catch them all.